Welcome to another
BBEG
episode
reveals to
of
the
the
party that she
Mandalorian
has charmed
walkthrough.
5 NPCs that they
It's
don't
known as
care
the
about,
Bounty Hunter,
making this
but I put it as
confrontation very
Mando.
tricky. She also revealed to them that she has sent 4 of the 5 of them
Star
to 5
Wars.
different regions, making it near impossible to find them and uncharm them with greater restoration or dispel evil all at once, without letting BBEG simply charm other people as soon as someone gets uncharmed. Bard jokingly attempts to charm BBEG, saying that she will outlust lust, to which I reveal that the embodiment of lust is immune to charm, to which Bard responds, "Well, that's expected." This will be important. I end the session on a cliffhanger, though Rule's lawyer claims that he figured it out, and that we will all be blown away by his plan on how lust will be killed without harming the people she has charmed. All week, he keeps hyping up his master plan, claiming that the DM did not think this through. Finally, we come to the next session, with Rule's lawyer being super hyped and all, saying that he is always the one to figure it out. His plan? Dominate person. His whole argument is that he can command the BBEG to drown herself. I'm like, what? And he says that the BBEG's ability only concerns HP and damage. Suffocation, however, is a timer thing that has something to do with the con score. Honestly, I don't really get it, but this is his argument. He says he cast it. In my mind, I'm like, oh crap, here we go again. I remind him that she's immune to charm, as seen with the Bard's attempt to charm her last time. If he'd like, he can take it back and not cast it. Charm immunity means no dominate person, though he's not having it. From the top of my head, this is how the conversation went. Rule's lawyer. Succubuses are not immune to charm. Me. I homebrewed her stats. Rule's lawyer. New dungeon masters shouldn't be homebrewing stuff, especially for high-level games. It's about rewarding your players. It's not all about what the rules say. Me.
I got
Fine.
a little bit
Cast it.
confused.
I roll in front of everyone. Bam. She saves anyway. Bard. Silvery barbs. Me, rolling in front of everyone again, and it still saves. Saved twice. Now, let's move on. Now, Rule's lawyer has tried and succeeded, pulling off shenanigans like this before. I, being a new dungeon master, just assumed that he knew better, and went along with his arguments on how things should work. As the campaign goes on, I slowly realize that Rule's lawyer is misinterpreting many things, or is just straight up wrong about it. So I can't just let it be this time. Plus, another player, Bard, did not get past BBEG's charm immunity, so it'd be unfair to let it work for Rule's lawyer. Rule's lawyer decides to keep attacking BBEG, prompting her ability to make her charm targets to take the damage instead, putting NPCs that they like at risk. Bard is like, WTF, but Rule's lawyer just keeps saying things like, "We're being railroaded. This is what a railroad looks like. And it's what the dungeon master wants us to do. No other solution." He also says stuff under his breath the whole time, like, "New DMs plus homebrew equals mess." I tried to ignore it, but everyone has
Sorry
their
if you
limits.
hear something in the
I asked him,
background.
"Is there an
Just-
effing problem?" He then erupts
I
and
gotta
replies,
have something in the
and I'm
background.
paraphrasing because I don't remember every word he said in this long rant. Quote, "Succubus aren't even supposed to be immune to charm. I'm being punished for thinking outside the box. I figured out how to solve your stupid boss fight in a different way than you planned. But of course, being inexperienced, you chose your plans over agency."
Look at that.
Now, my response probably wasn't the best, but I was pissed and
Sorry,
said,
I just had to
"I'm the effing DM. What I say
get
goes.
into the guild
And I say session ends, and
so
you're
I
good."
can level
He
up.
then stormed out after he throws a bunch of insults at me and my game, and it hurt, honestly. The following few days, he tried to start his own campaign and recruit my remaining 2 players. None of them joined, and the fact that none of them joined and continue to play in mine puts a smile to my face. So, am I the a-hole? Are we both a-holes? because I knew for sure that I did not handle the situation very well.
Watch If on Paramount Plus before it's too late.
Am I disappearing? Oh, dude, pretty sure that's not how this works.
You ready for this? Wow, right? If, rated PG, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Now, while I agree that OP could have handled that situation a bit better, I wouldn't necessarily call them the a-hole here. Rules Lawyer was the one to start to insult OP and his game, and then throw a hissy fit about his plan not working the way he thought. And in fairness to OP, Dominate Person does use the wording that those affected by it are charmed. So OP was right to not have it work, since it didn't work when Bard tried to charm the BBEG. Sometimes in D&D, there are no easy ways to get around some predicaments that the party is facing, and that can sometimes be frustrating. But Rules Lawyer took things too far when he started putting down OP for being a new DM, when he didn't get his way. Though I will say that is quite the position that the party was in. And off the top of my head, I can't really think of any way they could get around hurting the people that the succubus had charmed. What do you all think on this one? Both on OP's reaction to Rules Lawyer, and how the party could have possibly gotten around that situation. I'm legit curious. But with that said, let's move on. D&D player threatens to shoot the DM. By Reddit user Guy Walrus 7954. Oh boy, this situation is insane. It just happened last week, but this campaign has been going on for a couple of months now. I am going to, more or less, use people's character class to identify them, in and out of game, for the purposes of this post. The a-hole here was an acquaintance of our friend that was playing a bard. She invited him after meeting him on another server. He rolled up a paladin, and I was playing a druid. The other players are relatively irrelevant to the story. So we are playing a campaign set in Waterdeep, but crawling with zombies. It's kind of an urban mystery / eldritch horror type campaign. It's very fun. That guy obviously had a crush on the friend that invited him, and would clumsily flirt with her character, but to no avail. In fact, she ended up dating the dungeon master in real life. They didn't have any romantic or sexy scenes in game though, since her bard's backstory would not allow that, as Bard's character was married. This did not make that guy / paladin feel any better. Once he found out that they were dating, he not only threw a fit and said that she was, quote, leading him on like every other female does to good men. Uh-oh, looks like we got a player with nice guy syndrome. But he started actively sabotaging the campaign by killing important plot-relevant characters, essaying NPCs, destroying critical magic items, PvP for no reason, and doing stupid crap to intentionally get the party killed. Luckily, he failed. It got so bad that we had to temporarily ban him twice. A temporary ban? Twice? I'd say that behavior would warrant a permaban right away. After he came back from his second ban, he was warned that if he crosses the line again, he was going to be permabanned from the server. He accepted these terms, though with contempt in his voice. I honestly could tell that this was going to blow up. I even told Dungeon Master this, but he had a strict 3 strikes policy in each of his campaigns, which, to be fair, he swore by this policy for as long as we've been playing with him. But of course, that guy didn't waste any time after rolling up his, quote, Chad Bugbear, Barbarian, to establish himself as another murder hobo, and claimed the typical, it's what my character would do. He did attempt, once again, to seduce Bard, claiming that he was no longer a beta, and she could not resist. Well, after telling her that she, quote, needs a real man inside of her. Dude, ew. Bard once again rejected him, to which he then demanded to roll seduction, And Dungeon Master told him
Come
that
on, I
player
need a
characters
high-leveled
have to
one.
abide by a seduction rule, even if it's an That guy then blew up and said, "Of course you would say that. You're effing her." DM then said, "I said no because players get to decide what they do with their characters, especially in regards to sex. Now cool it before I permaban you." He then backed off until night came, and the barbarian said, "I sneak into Bart's tent and flip her face up as I whip it out, and he gets banned." Yeah, you would think. It shouldn't have been able to have gone that far to begin with. After a few minutes of us being like, what the F was that guy's problem? And Dungeon Master apologizing to Bard for not banning him sooner, and Bard telling Dungeon Master it's okay, we see a random Discord account that was obviously just created, and we immediately recognize the voice of that guy. He starts trying to deny what he was planning to do in the game, but Dungeon Master and Bard's player call BS. So he goes into a rage and calls her a whore, and calls the Dungeon Master a manipulative scumbag who is twisting her mind and a bunch of other weird crap, until the Dungeon Master yells, "Enough! Let me make this very clear to you. You are banned, period. Come back again, and I will report you to the Discord admins.
I'll probably have to do
Are we
this
clear?"
off.
And then he banned him again. And
When-
this is where things get worse. We were all still
When I'm
kind of
not,
shocked and talking about what just happened. We then start to calm down and talk about other things to kind of try to end this session on a lighter note. But of course, this a-hole comes back, and without saying a word, post an AI-generated picture of him
'Cause I
shooting the
wanted to
Dungeon
do
Master in the head.
A high level
Bard's
like
player
this
said,
and not.
"What the F?" As
That's
that guy
unfair.
just hopped back into voice chat and said, "F around and find out," before the Dungeon Master banned him again, and then told us that he was going to report him to the Discord admins. We all then just decided to hop off Discord. There was no salvaging this. We were disturbed, and rightfully so. We all block him on literally every social media platform, and now we are kind of taking a break from D&D. It's just no fun realizing that there's a good chance that when we play, this a-hole could just create another burner account to harass and or threaten us. TLDR, that guy goes full stalker creep and curses out the girl he was into and threatens her boyfriend with gun violence as he deludes himself into thinking that he's a, quote, nice guy. Jeez, talk about an unstable individual. I would keep a record of all of that, including the picture he sent after being banned. In my honest opinion, there shouldn't have been any type of 3-strike rule for this player. Now, I can understand giving people second chances, but the way this creep acted before his first strike should have warranted a permaban right off the bat. Though, I don't understand why this dude would prevent OP and the rest of the players from playing for fear that this dude would make another burner account. Why not just make a private server that is invite only for OP and the rest of the players? I mean, that way, you can play without
I've
risking
been
that.
working on
Either way, it is good that
a lot
OP's DM
of
did eventually kick this dude
Dungeons
from
and
the game.
Dragons, mainly
hopefully,
like
They can
campaigns,
continue on and continue having fun playing D&D with each other.
like writing / typing
Let's move on.
campaigns.
Dungeon Master straight up said, if I did enough damage, he would negate it, and the boss would walk away with 1 hit point, because she's, quote, not supposed to die. Hashtag
You
choo
can't
choo.
see me.
By Reddit user, Brash Bandicoot.
I'm glad I actually did.
I finally achieved the dream of many forever Dungeon Masters, and found myself as a player in a new campaign.
I unlocked it.
While I went
Yay.
into this with an open mind, and am mostly happy to finally be able to play, our Dungeon Master is not good. Now, to their credit, they're new to 5th edition, though they apparently know Pathfinder really well. Unfortunately, they seem to have fallen into the trap of, quote, novel writing, i.e., they have a whole plot in mind of what will happen, and we're just following along. The first session was a little heavy-handed, but that's okay. Sometimes you need to set the stage for what's going on. The group is passing through gang territory, and my eloquence bar rolls a 25 persuasion, accompanied by a bribe that the Dungeon Master suggested I do, in order to be left alone. The Dungeon Master responds with, "Okay, they attack you anyway, because I can't have you avoid all of my encounters." This is literally the first one we've ever had. Session 2. We find a strange device surrounded by a magical field. Any attempts to touch it are met with, "Are you sure?" by the Dungeon Master. So, scratch that, I guess. There seems to be nothing we can do. The device is extremely heavy, surrounded by magic, and is implied to be some sort of huge bomb. So we elect to leave the area and inform our higher-ups, as we're guards, about what we found. Dungeon Master. "Oh, really? None of you are going to cast a spell magic on it? I'm really surprised none of you thought to take that spell." Me. "Dude, we can't take it yet. We're level 3. DM. "Oh, well, suddenly an alarm goes off. The mysterious woman you saw earlier returns with 4 henchmen. Roll initiative." This was basically how it went. We'd seen the woman earlier when we were sneaking in, and she was presented as some sort of powerful suspect behind this plot to blow up the city. Now, we'd already had combat the previous session, and hadn't rested, so I was down in spell slots and bardic inspirations. On our turns, the barbarian and I both focused our attention on the boss lady, and used our best moves, culminating with me burning my only remaining bardic inspiration and second level spell slot on her. We both did pretty decent damage. Remember, we're only level 3. And then, it was the lady's turn, and she teleported away. This would be okay. Classic cheeky DM. If he didn't immediately say, "You're not supposed to kill her. She's not in the fight." If you would have taken her down, I would have given her 1 HP left, and had her leave anyway. Like, dude, I get that you're new, but don't tell us that. Anyway, we survived the fight, and elect to return to our base and inform our higher-ups about what we found. Then, after the session, the Dungeon Master messages the group, saying, "Good job. FYI, you guys are going to be arrested and put on trial next session. Make sure to prepare yourselves." For what? What's the charge? Not defusing the thing? Not being able to learn dispel magic at level 3? Investigating a crime scene as a party of cards? Anyway, it's only been 2 sessions, so hopefully the Dungeon Master learns to loosen up and stop the train. Though, at least I get to play. Edit. Since people keep asking if I've spoken to him, yes, I've spoken to the DM many times during the 2 whole sessions that we've had. I told him how to make player characters roll for insight and investigation. Tried to help him figure out what the 5e equivalent of a, quote, city knowledge check is. Told him what bardic inspiration is, and how it works, and that it's not OP. It's a literal class feature. Strongly implied that only letting someone make a check if they have proficiency in the skill isn't the best idea, and gave him feedback at the end of the first session on how he was a bit stiff at first, but got better midway through when he relaxed the story and just let us roleplay and bond as a group. I've given him a lot of feedback and tips, but I'm still allowed to express frustration in a Reddit post, considering I signed up to be a player, not a backseat dungeon master. That certainly does sound like quite the first 2 sessions, and the whole getting arrested for not being able to do anything with the magical device really doesn't make sense. I think this all boils down to this being the first time the Dungeon Master has ever DM'd, and by the sounds of it, took the suggestions and criticisms in stride that OP had given. I can understand OP's frustrations though, as they just want to be a player, and not have to constantly backseat DM. But I would say that if they really do want to be a player, maybe just stick it out, and see how things go for a few more sessions. After all, the Dungeon Master is still
Or
around.
at the
Then, if things don't start to get
literally
better, and
redo
NP starts not
that.
having
Like
fun with the
re-enter.
game, then I'd say consider finding
It's
another
stupid.
group with a Dungeon
Really?
Master that isn't so great. But that is all I have for you today. As always, I really do appreciate all of you. Seriously, I am still...
Lots to do? Grab a payday and cut your appetite in half.
We had real specific needs when we were looking for a banker. Truist really understood who we were. I loved their depth of the research, the attention to detail. Truly a partner by all definitions.
Hey there everyone, and welcome to some more RPG horror stories with D&D Doge. In today's video, we have a tale about a dungeon master that tries railroading a player into romancing her DMPC, and a story about a DM that kills a player character in order to teach another player a lesson. But before we get to those, it's the point in the video that I ask that if you end up enjoying the video, that you like, comment, and subscribe, and then have Lucky entice you to do so. Thanks, Lucky. You're doing a fantastic job. But with that said, let's get right into these stories. Dungeon Master forces romance between their DMPC and my character. By Reddit user PitifulAd773. This is my first D&D 5e game with strangers. For years, I have been playing with close friends, but schedules and busy lives sadly stopped our weekly games. The DM of that game mentions to me that they know another DM who is looking for players. I say that I'm interested, so he hooks us up, and I join the game. The DM of this game is female, and I am a straight male, and so is my cleric character. The only other player is a min-maxer straight female, playing a female hexblade paladin with pole-armed sentinel. The genders will be important for later. So, the DM told us that since the party is so small, that she will be adding an NPC who will help us out here and there. That NPC turned out to be a male DMPC rogue, who is always 2 levels above us, plus magic items. They don't just help here and there. No. They straight up take the spotlight, often being the one dealing the final blow against bosses. But more on that later. I need to mention that nearly all the NPCs are male, some of which have romantic relationships with each other. Literally, the only female NPCs are the villains, usually the seductresses or femme fatale types. So we got around 2 sessions in, and immediately, I don't like the DMPC. The DM always inserts the DMPC in every scene with my character, and I start to notice that it's difficult for my cleric to bond with the min-maxer, because every time I try to roleplay with the min-maxer, the DMPC butts in. The first instance where it becomes a big problem is when we were fighting one of the main villainesses. She was hiding behind hostages, but we end up pummeling her and kicking her ass pretty good, mostly thanks to the min-maxer's absurd crits. We told the DMPC to go and help the hostages instead, while we handle the villainess, though the DMPC argues against it. Sometimes, it feels like the DM herself is arguing against us, telling us that it's a bad idea. But after a bit of back and forth, we finally got the DMPC to leave combat and go help the hostages. So finally, there will be a combat where someone else deals the final blow. Oh wait, never mind. I'm down. Yep, the moment the DMPC leaves, the villainous one-shots me. The DM then excitedly says, "Bet someone's wishing that the DMPC was here right now." That ticked me off a bit, but whatevs. The min-maxer will fix this. So the min-maxer goes up and uses up smites, and deals absurd amounts of damage. But the villainess somehow survives, and paralyzes the min-maxer, with no saves. It was just one hit, and then bam, paralyzed. With both player characters out of commission, the DM describes how the villainess was about to finish me off, as she's about to step on my head. Then, after a bit of silence, after she played some heroic music, proceeds to describe how the DMPC just came right on time to rescue me, and how he was so angry and furious that he let me go down on his watch, blah blah blah. The villainess got scared shitless and tried to seduce him, but the DM has him say that there's only one person that he loves, blah blah blah. And then the DMPC one-shot the villainess. When both me and the Min-Maxer recovered, the DMPC proceeds to scold us about how we are too weak and how we are reckless. The DM was also very obviously trying to hint that he was being harsh because he cares. Yeah, no, I don't care. At this point, I was planning to leave, but I didn't, and that's because of Min-Maxer. After the DMPC leaves the scene for the first time, and I think the DM expected me to go after them and console them, my character and the Min-Maxer finally got to roleplay together meaningfully. We bonded over our near-death experience, and her character was a lot of fun and was very sweet. But then the DM inserted a scene where she describes how the savior of the day ends up alone and ends the session. I spoke to the DM about it and told her that it feels like this rogue of hers is like a DMPC. But she said don't worry, the rogue will only be around for one arc. I'm still worried, but whatever. The roleplay with Min-Maxer was enough for me to give this another session, so I at least have something to look forward to. Then comes the next session. The DMPC is now flirting with my character. No build-up to it, just randomly decides to be flirty. He was also kind of mean to Min-Maxer, because every time she spoke, he acted like she's being dumb. And then, the DM just makes things happen narratively to prove that she was indeed being dumb. We then got into a fight with another villainess, a character from my backstory, who wasn't supposed to be evil. It was my aunt, who was also my mentor. Naturally, my character would want to speak with them and try to understand what's going on, so he won't throw hands right away. The DMPC, on the other hand, wants to kill her. He had this whole speech about love and choosing who you love, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with why I want to talk to my aunt. Half of it was the DM herself explaining things and giving me meta-knowledge to prove that my aunt is now pure evil that puts Satan to shame. My aunt then nearly one-shots me, and it came with a stun that had a ridiculous save DC for our level, and the DMPC was going to slay her. Min-Maxer tries to intervene, as she wants to non-lethally take down my aunt for my sake, but the DM wasn't having any of it. Even when my aunt was down, the DMPC executes her. This, of course, enraged my character. The DMPC says that I'm being ungrateful, and that he saved my life, and the DM also says that out of character, and then has the DMPC storm off once again, expecting me to go after them, but I don't. Once again, Min-Maxer got space to roleplay with me. She consoled my character, and it led to a very bittersweet, wholesome moment. We both even saw a potential development towards romance in the future, and she jokingly said, I'll ship it. At that moment, the DM just straight up tells me that my character feels an overwhelming guilt in his heart, but I told her that's not how my character feels right now. So she gets the DMPC to come to me instead, and says that he looks so heartbroken and hurt by me. Hell if I care. But apparently, my character does care, as the DM describes how my character feels tight in his chest, seeing the DMPC like this. So I cut her off and say, stop controlling my character. This is messed up. It was a poor choice of words on my part, because now she's accusing me of being homophobic. What?
Okay, after this,
And told me that I should be more
literally
open to guy-on-guy
get
relationships. Specifically,
from
guy-on-guy.
Overwatch.
She doesn't even say gay
Probably two
relationships.
Overwatch videos. Upload
At
one
this point,
today.
I'm
The
done.
other, the
The
Star
line
Wars
between me and
and
my
the
character
other
starts to blur,
Overwatch
and I
video.
did some immature things. I angrily asked the DMPC what they want. The DMPC tries to tell me to snap out of it, and I'm like, what? The DMPC proceeds to accuse my character of being seduced by the villainess, who was my aunt. Both in and out of character, I just want to attack the DMPC for saying such crap. So I told the DM that I cast Guiding Bolt on the DMPC. But the DM straight up tells me that I need to roll a wisdom save to be able to attack someone that I love.
Okay.